Joining us on the podcast today, a man you know best with the mullet, but I told him if he's coming on the show, he's got to go clean-shaven for the podcast. Of course, you also know him as arguably the most improved tennis player in the 2022 college tennis season, a man who finished his junior year 24-7 overall in singles, 25-7 overall in doubles, and into his first pro quarterfinal this week at the Columbus 25K in singles. Welcome on to the show, our friend Patrick Maloney. Pat, you can tell I'm nervous for this show. It's great to have you here today. How are you doing?
I'm good, man. Just hanging out in the hotel, but it's finally good to finally be on the podcast.
Yeah,
it's been a long time coming.
I think Steiny has banned you from the show. It's not that we didn't want to have you here. It's that he was afraid I was going to get you in trouble, but that's just not the case now. You're a fifth-year senior. You're mature. You're ready for this.
Yeah, I let him know I was doing it today, and he seemed a little scared. he was like, let's keep it PG.
Yeah, of course. No, I promise we will. But obviously, I already mentioned it. You've played a ton of pro tennis this summer, and I want to get into some of that. But into your first pro singles quarterfinal this week in Columbus, an impressive 3-set victory over Nate Ponwith. Let's just start with that result. What does it mean to you to get to your first singles quarterfinal?
It's pretty exciting. I've been playing a ton this summer, just trying to get my feet wet in the whole pro tennis thing. And it's nice. I feel like my game's coming along nicely. I'm getting comfortable. But yeah, I had a tough match today, got it done, but it feels good. I'm back on some indoor hard courts, so can't complain about that. But yeah, I feel good. It's been a good week so far.
Well, you mentioned, maybe wasn't your prettiest performance, and unfortunately I didn't get the chance to watch the match, but looking at the stats, under 50% on the first serve, I know that's not the number you're going for, but I'm curious about that mindset and making that shift from college tennis to the pros. So frequently we hear guys say, it really is going after the first ball, being able to play on your terms. That's the difference. Do you find that to be truthful at all as you've played on the pros these past few months?
Definitely. That's definitely one of the things I've noticed, going after your serve, going after the first ball, looking to take time away when you can from the baseline, all those things. It's what like the best guys in these tournaments and like in the challengers and whatnot, they do it so well. They take away a second here and there when they can from the baseline, and you feel it. You feel that pressure. So that's kind of something I've been working on. And, to have a match where I serve, below 50%, had 9 double faults, and still able to get it done. It felt pretty good.
Does playing add scoring, is that a luxury after a year of college tennis? Do you feel as though you have a bit more of a margin for error? I'm always curious.
Yeah, you get like that margin for error, but I personally prefer deuce points.
Yeah.
I think it's way more exciting. I think, also just keeps, the speed of the match going, opposed to having a game where you get 10 deuces and whatnot, but it makes it tough, it sticking in those games, going add in, deuce, add out, whatever. It's a grind, but I'd say I prefer the deuce points. It's way more exciting. You get up for those points, and but it's definitely a pretty big adjustment for sure.
I can only imagine. And, it's interesting to talk about those 10 deuce games because, and I say this lovingly, and I once asked this to Steiny on a podcast, so I've said it publicly, so it's not new information. I would say early in your career, maybe that focus was something you lacked, going in match by match and even point by point. And I'm curious, again, being exposed to the pro game, how has it forced you to mature? How has it forced you to, improve the little things? Is that maybe the biggest thing you've noticed?
100%. In the past year, I'd say that's been a big focus of mine, is trying to work on, my attention span on court. And
sure.
I'm known to be like a big other court watcher during dual matches, or at least used to be. So that's kind of something that we used to work on, helping my teammates and pumping them up, but not to the point where, I'm looking at Beatty hitting a return, and then all of a sudden I'm watching the serve go by me.
Sure.
So that's definitely something that I've been working on, the little things as well. Benny, can't stress that stuff enough. Whether it's a proper warm up, recovery, eating the right way, all that stuff. And that's something that if you don't do a good job of that in these futures and challengers and stuff, you get called out on it pretty quickly.
Yeah. No, I mean, all these guys are good, I imagine.
Yeah, everybody.
Yeah. And so, again, talking about that improvement, coming into the year, 35-21 overall in singles matches in college. Obviously, not only did you go 24-7 this season, you did it primarily playing in the top 3 spots in the lineup. I mean, it's a basic question, but it's the one I have to ask. What changed?
I mean, a lot.
Sure. Go on.
I kind of just, put all my attention into tennis and really, trying to make the most out of, the opportunities that Michigan gives me and that, tennis gives me. And really, I want to, Stanley says, you want to look back with no regrets, like on your 4 years, or for me, 5 years. And, I had a bit of a rough couple of years. My sophomore year, I was injured a bunch, and then obviously got cut off. And then junior year, I had a pretty rough ending to it. I started off strong, but kind of hit a slump towards the end. So, but a bunch of little stuff, man, getting in the gym a ton, doing a ton of recovery, taking care of my body, because injuries have been a bit of an issue for me in the past. This was kind of my first season where, I didn't really have to sit out too many matches or anything with injuries and stuff. So that was a big plus. I cleaned up my diet a bunch. So yeah, just taking care of all those little things. And it's been nice because I'd like to say I've seen, at least some improvement with my results and stuff. So it's definitely been nice to see that kind of pay off a little bit.
True or false? You've grown, I'd say 2.5 inches since your freshman year, something like that.
True. So when I first got to Michigan, I was 6'2", 148 pounds.
That 6'2" is a little generous.
That was my first day at Michigan physicals, 6'2", 148. And now I'm a little over 6'4", and I'm sitting at like 180.
So is it the Michigan milk? Like what, again, physically, because that to me is that just college? That's why college tennis was so right for you to have the opportunity. Did you anticipate, I should say, the growth?
I didn't anticipate the growth. I anticipated I would get a little stronger and stuff. But yeah, I mean, I think that's any guy who goes to college and then, plays after. I think a big part of, what they really appreciate about college is like giving him the time to, mature physically and stuff. And, getting in the weight room with the strength coaches, and you have the dietitians, and you got the trainers, you got all that stuff. So it's like, it's really a perfect setup and it's pretty easy to, to gain some muscle and to get stronger and get in good shape when you got all that stuff surrounding you.
I mean, so I was in a similar vein. I mean, not exactly the same. I suppose I was growing in Ann Arbor in college, so we have that in common. But I also grew like 2 inches between the start of my freshman year and midway through my sophomore year. And I remember in particular, it was an icy January day, and I was walking in front of Ross, which is obviously a highly populated area on the Ann Arbor campus, Ross Business School. And I just lost my footing and ate shit. And I just remember definitively thinking man, you cannot control your body. Like, this is just a mess. And come on, you're a 18, 19-year-old kid. Get your act together. Again, you're on the tennis court those first few years, and you talk about all of the injuries. Was it growing pain? What was it about that process that was so frustrating? What wasn't clicking in that moment?
I think a bunch of stuff. I think I wasn't doing a good enough job of the little things with the recovery and the diet and eating clean and eating enough and all that stuff, with how much tennis we were playing and how much, all that activity and stuff. So I think my body just wasn't really ready for the load of, that proper training and stuff. And it definitely caught up to me. I had a bunch of nagging injuries for a while. I think a part of it is definitely I was growing a ton at the time. So my body was just all thrown out of whack, I think. But yeah, it was definitely frustrating. Luckily we had a great team that my sophomore year where they were able to, get the job done without me. That COVID year with indoors and all that stuff. But yeah, I mean, it was definitely pretty frustrating, but I definitely learned a ton from it. And I learned, kind of what not to do.
I definitively remember you walking into the Nielsen Tennis Center for the indoors. And I don't know if you remember this exchange, but I go up to him like, dude, did you grow half? I was like, what happened here? I was like, it's not just the Canada Goose. Like, you are a bigger human than you were like 12 months ago. And I just remember being like, oh my God, like, all right, this is interesting. And, again, you were a 5-star recruit. You were a New York high school state champion. And we can talk about the tentacles of that 2018 draw. Ryan Fishbeck doing what he's doing at Virginia Tech. New York tennis gets a bad rep. Your grade might suggest otherwise. But again, just more broadly, because I know a lot of parents, a lot of other players listen to this. I don't want to get you in trouble. Talk to me about the difference you're training to become a 5-star recruit in high school versus the training you do now in college. How different are the things you're doing?
Oh, it's very different. In high school, I didn't really, lift weights much at all. Just because I was growing so much at the time. I would play tennis, but it would be pretty limited at times just because my body was always so sore and banged up. I'd play a tournament and then I'd be sore for, multiple days, and then I'd kind of ease back into practice and then go back into another tournament. So I think I'd say probably the consistency is probably the biggest difference from, when I was in high school to now. Now it's like at Michigan and whenever, like every day we're doing stuff, to get ourselves better, to get the team better, stuff like that. And in high school, it was definitely a little more inconsistent. I would do sometimes an hour and a half a day of tennis with my coach, like pretty light. If like my back or something my shoulder was banged up or something. But yeah, it's very different, way more structured now that, I'm at school and stuff, and it's definitely way better.
You talk about that tournament grind. I know your body was banged up at various points. I think you only played 2 Kalamazoo's, which is a lower number than you would expect for a guy, obviously, who's a 5-star recruit on Tennis Recruiting. You played your senior season for Oyster Bay. It was, I believe, first season of organized high school or school athletics you had played since 7th grade. Why? What was it about the team aspect that appealed to you? Because obviously anyone who's watched you now know team tennis is where you thrive.
Yeah, it's I don't know. I just figured it was my senior year, last year of high school. I was committed to Michigan at the time. I had a pretty light tournament schedule that spring, so I was like, I don't know, why not? Give it a shot, try to win a state title. Previously, there were some good guys won states in New York. Yuval Solomon won it a few times. He went on to play at Wake. I think he won it like 2 or 3 times. But yeah, I wanted to see how it was. I also always had my boys in high school, like in my ear about, like, they always thought I was overhyping my tennis or stuff. Like they kind of wanted to see me play too. So that was a fun part of it. I always have like a pretty good group of guys and whatnot coming out to my home matches and stuff, which was pretty fun. But yeah, I mean, the guys on the Oyster Bay team the level wasn't great. I think we were the bottom division in like Nassau County or whatever. So like you had some guys coming in with like tags on their rackets still from Dick's Sporting Goods and stuff. But no, it was a lot of fun. It was good. And then getting to states and being able to get a state title and kind of do that like for my high school and stuff. It was a lot of fun.
Looking at the high school list I was going through, Yuval Solomon, who of course played at Wake Forest, 2-time champion Matt Gamble, Notre Dame, 2-time champion Sean Hadavi, Columbia, Josh Levine, Duke. It's not bad. The top line's not bad.
So there were that was kind of the theme, is like everyone's kind of senior year they would play and they would just try to win states. So I figured, why not try it out? And thank God I did. Yeah. Thank God, or else I would have been kicking myself.
No, absolutely. And, you mentioned being committed to Michigan at that time. I want to get into why Michigan, but so often we hear players talk about the burden that is that college process. Did you feel that playing in the juniors? How much pressure as a 5-star guy is it going tournament out, knowing, being uncommitted and being like, hey, I got to win to impress these coaches?
Yeah, honestly, it was kind of the opposite for me. I almost took it a little personally that I wasn't getting some of the looks that I was maybe early on. And then it kind of just really motivated, like maybe like early on junior year, I would see some of my buddies and my peers, committing to schools and stuff. And I was kind of a little behind in that process. So I would say it kind of fueled me a little bit, and it kind of really got me going. And then that summer I had a pretty good summer. Going into my senior year, I don't remember exactly how I did, but I won a ton of matches in the backdraw clays. And that's kind of when I first started talking to Steiny and like some other like top schools and stuff. But it wasn't really a burden. I kind of like really enjoyed it. And, having those coaches watching me and stuff, I always felt like it made me play better. But it was pretty fun. My recruiting process was pretty short. It was kind of just like June to September, basically. But no, definitely, I wouldn't say it was a burden, but it's pretty fun.
Why Michigan?
It's a long list of reasons. I always had this fascination with Michigan, even, before my recruiting process started. I just had always heard so many good things about it. And then, once I met Steiny and Sean at the time, I just felt like the way, Steiny approaches college tennis would gel with me really well. My coach from home knows him for a while now. He thought it would be a great fit for me. And then once I took my visit, I was pretty set on it right away.
Who'd you stay with?
I stayed in U Towers for one night with Gabe Tishman.
Of course.
I think Miles was in that apartment too.
Mm-hmm.
So I was with them, and then Beatty wasn't on the team at the time, but he was hanging out with us too, and he was kind of the class clown of that team.
The transformation of Nick Beatty from his first year to his last, a book could be written on it, because it was truly a transformation.
Yeah, it is. So I stayed with Miles and Gabe and hung out with them, and went to football game and all that stuff. I think Johnston was my host.
Mm-hmm. Also fun.
But yeah, I loved that visit, and I wanted to commit right away, basically that day, but my parents said no, like take some time, whatever, visit another school or two. But yeah, I was pretty set on Michigan the whole way.
Mm-hmm. No, and because I had heard from someone doing my research that Michigan maybe wasn't your number one choice going in, and that again, you get an offer from a school like Michigan. I can't imagine not taking it, but I'm the worst person to ask this question to, because both my parents went to Michigan. My older brother went to Michigan. That was just the thing in my family. But, again, going New York to Michigan, how many people have done that in their life? I guess it's not that remarkable. But no, it's always fascinating for me to hear, the choice, the decision behind that choice and what that was like. And, do you get to shadow a practice before you come to campus and get to participate, obviously, because a Michigan practice isn't exactly like everyone else?
Yeah. So on my visit, they were practicing. So you just watch the practice basically. Yeah. And I remember watching it and just everyone was just going nuts.
Yeah.
And I was like, I dug it. I thought it was great. I was pretty pumped up about it. I remember like Knight was on the team at the time. Knight was like going nuts, coming up to me, like screaming, all that stuff. And I thought it was pretty cool. But yeah, so I kind of had an idea of what it would be like, which is good because it's different than most. But yeah, Steiny does a good job of making sure you come into school ready and you know what like to expect from yourself and others and whatnot.
Mm-hmm. And I'm curious, again, you get to that first practice. Talk to me about the level. Talk to me about what it's like to hop into the collegiate game. Obviously, that freshman year, you jumped in between a bunch of different spots in the bottom of the lineup. How was that competitively?
Trying to remember. I mean, it was good. I remember I was there for the summer going into my freshman year, taking some classes and stuff. So I had an idea. I was hanging out with Miles the whole summer and hitting with him, and Fenty was with me. Connor was in town, obviously, because he lived so close. So I kind of had an idea of the level and stuff. First practice, I think we did the usual, started off with some MJ, some doubles games. But yeah, I mean, the level wasn't anything crazy. It was some of the guys, obviously, playing against some of the seniors and stuff. You're playing a guy 4 or 5 years older than you, guy who has like 40 pounds on you, or me at the time.
Yeah.
So it's a little different, but nothing crazy.
Yeah. People don't remember. Knight was a unit. Like, he was a big guy.
Knight was a big dude. Miles was big.
Yeah. Carter was big in his way.
Carter was big in his way. But yeah, I mean, you come in, you're playing guys 4 or 5 years older than you, which is something you don't really do in junior tennis too much, which is probably the biggest adjustment.
All right, let's run through the highlight reel. You get to replay one. That kickoff weekend, 2020, 2 4-3 matches, 2 7-6s in the third. Beatty and Styler clinching the victories respectively. What was it? Texas Tech and Ole Miss, I want to say, if memory serves me correct. Or first victory over Ohio State in 21.
Well, for me, I'd like to replay the kickoff weekend just because I wasn't there.
Yeah.
I was injured. So I was watching it on the live stream.
Yeah.
So I think to be there in person, because that was kind of one of the big jumps we made as a team was getting over those matches and making indoors for us. That was huge. So to be there, I remember I was watching the live stream. I was watching Fu play against Ole Miss, and we always talk about it. And I'm pretty sure 3 games in, he was winded and he was gassed. and me, Fu, and Fenty always joke around. I was like sitting, I had like this like pretty bad foot injury, and I'm watching the stream, and it looks like Fu just ran 10 miles, and he's like 15 minutes into his match, which was pretty funny. But no, to be there for that would have been pretty special because that was a huge moment for us. But that win in 21 against the Bucks was pretty crazy too.
Well, let's get back to that Bucks because I want to talk about that 2020 run and what it meant to this team in particular. Because the nucleus of this team, of that 2020 team, is the team that goes on to make the quarterfinals. Obviously, last year yourself and Fenty, well, really less you at the time, Fenty and Styler and yourself, Beatty, all on that team. Not only do you get to the national indoors for the first time in I don't know how many years, I should know that number, but so much has happened since. But you guys make the semifinals, and again, well, let's start here. True or false? The 2020 national indoors was a COVID super spreader.
True.
100% true.
100%. 100%. Because I remember I didn't show up till indoors until the night before we played USC. Because I had the flu at the time.
Yeah.
But they didn't test me for the flu, but they told me it was the flu.
Yeah.
And I was in bed for like 8-9 days, like so sick. And then I fly the night before USC, and next thing you know, I think Holt got sick. I think the Ohio State team got sick. I got
sick. I didn't have a voice for the final, and everyone's like, "Oh, it's because Michigan lost in the semis." I was like, "No, it's because I said congrats to Brandon Holt," and everyone got it.
It had to have been because it was like a week before COVID became a thing, and 80% of the people there were had flu-like symptoms.
That's what I'm saying. It's actually that was maybe the most bonding event in college tennis history because all of us got sick, and so we were all talking to one another. It's like, yo, are you getting this thing? And there's this cruise ship in California, and they're talking do we have that? What's going on here? It will always be in my memory. And then that, and the fact that again, I mean, I'll never forget the look on Moore Bolus's face. Sorry, Coach Macy, when Connor beat him in singles, because talk about a Houdini trick. But that run for your team in that moment, I can draw a direct through line, I feel like, from there to everything that happened this past season. What did that run mean for you all?
Yeah, I mean, it was crazy. It just gave us that belief. That was something that we lacked for a little bit, was that belief against, top 8 teams, you could say. We were always kind of knocking on the door. We were always kind of, play a great match, have some chances, lose 4-2 or 4-3. And, that was a huge turn for us just because, it kind of proved that we can beat not only one great team, but, 2 in a row. Obviously had a ton of chances against USC. But yeah, I mean, it just gave us that belief. And then we it was nice because we were kind of able to take that into the next year too, which was good.
Mm-hmm. And, it's in the rearview mirror now. What were you, and it's a little bit different because when we talk to some international guys, they're like, I didn't go home for 15 months, but what was that pandemic like, that break like for you guys in the team, and that 2021 season to have, kickoff weekend paused by COVID, to have an only Big Ten conference schedule, particularly with all of that momentum you had built the previous season, everyone's back on the roster. Talk to me about last year and, the positives and negatives, because I feel like there were definitely both.
Yeah, I mean, it was crazy. I think, we got kind of over.
Fair.
You got to edit that out, but just remember that. But no, it was, we were kind of dealing with adversity that whole year. We came in, I think we started that year. I think we started 3 in the country in the first ranking. And then we have Baylor, who was like 35 in the country at the time, come into kickoff weekend. Meanwhile, they were like a top 4 team that year.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure they got to the national championship, right?
Finals of indoors and the NCAAs.
Yeah, so they came to us as like the number 35 team in the country kickoff weekend, which was kind of crazy. And I think we had A&M and Pepperdine, which is like a tough group.
Yeah.
So we didn't get through that. Didn't make indoors, and then the Big Ten season, it was tough. I mean, we got to play Ohio, and I think we had to play Ohio twice, which was good. Kind of just keep that.
And I think the home and home with Illinois started that year too, right?
Yes. So, the positive, I think it was just that. I think it made us tougher. It kind of gave us that chip on our shoulder to, prove to whoever that we weren't the number 60 team in the country or whatever we ended at. I think we ended behind Western Michigan that year. So that kind of gave us a chip on our shoulder going into this season. Yeah. So now I'd say that was the biggest positive to take out of it, which is that it made us really hungry to kind of prove to whoever, to the ITA, I guess, that we were good. So, yeah. But yeah, it was a crazy season. It was nuts.
Prove to the formula more than anything else. It's not even humans. Everyone knows you're good.
Yeah, prove to the algorithm that we were pretty good.
It's like the BCS rankings. Exactly. It's its own thing. No, the real funny thing is, because I look at the record, 14-3 that year, and obviously you guys beat the Buckeyes for the first time since 2001. See, that I haven't forgotten. But I want to talk about that match specifically. But it's like, is it the most accomplished 14-3 team in Michigan history, or the least accomplished 14-3 team in Michigan history? Because it's like, you guys were exceptional, and obviously you had the chance to, or I don't think it was 14-3, 15-5. It's like you had the chance, had you had the chance to play Pepperdine in that second match of the kickoff weekend, what does that do for the Power 6 rankings? And, again, the Illinois match in the Big Ten Conference semifinals, you're like, if you can flip that, are you guys a top 16 seed instead of Illinois, and how different does that make things? You got to my follow-up question, though. There was some fuel going into this season, was there not?
Oh, of course. Because we all felt we had a damn good team that year, that 15-5 year. And, we got tough draw Arizona first round,
round of 16
I think they got, Sweet 16 that year. They were a tough team outdoors, And then I think it was Kentucky and maybe Cleveland State in that group. So Kentucky and Arizona and us.
Yeah.
It's a tough first weekend of NCAAs. But no, I think again, that made us tougher, losing that tough 4-3 match. We all kind of left for that summer. We knew that, this upcoming year, we kind of really had to, make a statement, and luckily I think we did. I think we had a great year, but yeah, it definitely fueled us a ton.
Mm-hmm. So that same season, obviously, early March, Ohio State comes to town for the first of a home-and-home series. I have been at matches where Michigan has taken the doubles point over Ohio State before. My freshman year, Bruce Burke's final season, we took the doubles point. I'm going to try and stop doing that in 2022. But at the time I was a student at Michigan, so it's fine that I think of it as we. Yeah, we took the doubles point, Alex Petrone and Sean Bernstein played some of the best tennis I've ever seen out of either of them. And I remember just being like, oh my God, we're going to do it. And then I have never seen a coach light into his team the way Ty did after that doubles point. And when I say Ohio State came out and played one of the best hours of singles I've ever seen, like they took, I think it was 5 of 6 first sets, and everyone was playing with a fire. And, again, I've seen us come close. Big Ten championship your freshman year, where Fenty beats J.J. Wolf. That was a really tight match, albeit a 4-1 victory for Ohio State. You guys take the doubles point over them in 2021. What a 4-2. Excuse me. Thank you. Good correction from Pat Maloney, which you all won't see. Again, 2021. You guys take the doubles point. Talk me through what the conversation's like after that, and to see Styler, Seymour, yourself get over the finish line, what that meant to you all.
I'm trying to I gotta dig deep and try to remember. So we came out. I don't think I played doubles that
no
match.
Doubles for you. No, Harry Brown and Beatty at 3.
Yes, yeah. Harry and Beatty played 3, and they played. Yeah. So that was I remember we went into the locker room, and Stein's kind of lit a fire under us. He was like, you guys put yourself in this position, like just go take it. Be brave. Kind of the things we talk about every day. He just kind of emphasized that. Don't be willing to lose, playing the right way. Be great, all that stuff. Come out. Come out hot. Come out, all that stuff. And then, I think I got smoked in my first set against Seelig.
You want to guess what the score was?
I think it was 6-1.
Yeah, he breadsticked you.
Yeah, so I lost quickly 6-1, but I was looking around. All the other guys were doing great. So I was like, all right, like, let me just maybe try to figure this out, but I kind of, turned my focus a little bit towards helping those other guys get to the finish line. And, to see, Styler was playing unreal. Who was it?
Beatty.
Give me the
Yeah, so Cannon was playing Fenty, 6-4, good win for Cannon, but Fenty played such good tennis in that opening set.
Yeah, I think Fenty was up a break in that
early in the first.
Points.
Yeah, I think he was at 5-3.
Yeah, so he came out strong, and like it was good momentum. I think Beatty came out playing some good ball against. I think he played Cash.
Mm-hmm. Styler takes the first in a breaker against McNally.
Yeah, which was huge. So I was kind of looking up the scoreboard to see how Sty and.
By the way, what's the improvement this year? Maybe not looking at the scoreboard, but go on. We've come full circle.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, but on the changeovers, I take a glance. Okay. I take a quick glance over it and to see what was going on. But no, everyone was playing playing well. The matches were competitive. And then I just happened, to kind of just find it in the second and third sets, and I kind of zoned in and was just playing really well. But yeah, it was a crazy match, and then just to get over that hump and to get the job done was unbelievable.
No, I was there when Michigan made the Sweet 16 in 2018 for the first time under Steiny, and I saw the emotion there.
Yeah,
you've gotten to see a lot of emotional Steiny over the time of your career. What was that one like?
Yeah, that was a big one.
Yeah.
There have been many.
Yeah.
But no, he was just so happy for us and for Michigan, just to get over that hump that was kind of in our ear for so long, and to finally get the job done and stuff. And it was like that was kind of like another new chapter for us was getting over that, and then we can kind of move on and just keep building off of that. But it was huge, man. That was a crazy match.
Yeah, no, that was a fun one. Do you remember Seymour's match point over Boulay rushing the court?
I do. Boulay came in and he hit a volley like a couple feet long, and then Matthias did like some like bow celebration. I remember, and then we all ran and jumped on him and stuff. And then I remember, I think Beatty had to play his out anyway. Mm-hmm. So I think we all kind of went over after, and Beatty was down like maybe like 5-4 in the third. Shanked like 2 or 3 balls and then like ran over to us and started celebrating. Like he was just like so ready to get off the court. He was like looking at us like, do I have to like finish this like match right now? Like what's going on?
Yeah.
But yeah, it was. I remember that very well. Running over to Matthias, and we all, that little dog pile and stuff. It was great.
No, it was a moment. I remember that was the match where I should have used this in the intro. It said my little brother's favorite player, and now whenever we hit, I have to get the Patrick Maloney after every ground stroke because that's just it's a little extra oomph on all of them. But that sort of moment, obviously this year to play the Buckeyes, what was it, 4 different times in total?
4 times,
home in the regular season, Big Ten championship where you guys get them, NCAA quarterfinals where obviously they're able to get you guys. I've seen those matches. They get heated. They're competitive. At the same time, I feel like there's a lot of respect between both programs. Like I feel like, again, if it's you and Cannon at the Columbus 25K, you're asking him to warm up. You're asking him to, hit together, whatever it may be. And it feels like, again, this rivalry, Michigan firing on all cylinders, it's good for both teams.
Oh yeah, I mean it's amazing for us and for the Big Ten and for just to have it be such a strong and heated rivalry now, opposed to in the past where it was kind of one-sided. But no, there's always a mutual respect after the match. During the match, maybe not as much.
Fair.
It gets pretty rowdy and pretty heated. But that's what makes college tennis. Like I don't think anybody would prefer it any other way. I don't think anybody would want to be any more cordial or anything during the match. But after the match, if I remember when we won, Cannon and some others, come over, congratulate us. You guys, deserve it. Great job, blah, 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 which is nice. But yeah, it's, they get pretty heated, but it's, it's great that, we're at the point now where it's such an even and heated rivalry. Cause it's kind of been a long time coming for that.
No, and no disrespect to Illinois, who's been exceptional forever. And obviously, you look at the 21st century, who's the Big Ten team with the national championship? It's not Ohio State. It's not Michigan. Ohio State does have the 2 national indoor titles, but it's Illinois who won, in an undefeated fashion, one of the best teams in Big Ten history. Do you feel like you guys were chasing Ohio State those first few years?
Of course. Yeah.
It's a good thing, right?
Oh, of course. It was probably one of the most motivating things for us was, getting destroyed by them a couple times. Remember my freshman year, we lost 6-1 in probably an hour and 20 minutes. And, I think that made everybody hungry and like that will not happen again. So I think, maybe in the moment it was kind of stung, but it's a big reason why, why we've kind of improved as a team and as a program in the past couple of years for sure.
How bummed are you you're not going to get to play USC and UCLA?
Yeah, I was pretty bummed. I think that would be a cool thing to experience for sure. I remember I was talking to Steph when it first happened, Dostanic, because we were together when like it got announced and stuff, and I was like, damn, like that would have been pretty cool, to have you guys come into Ann Arbor in 48 degrees and 19 mile an hour winds, play outside at the VTC, like after playing state in the same conditions. Like that would have been, it would have been a great weekend. But no,
or vice versa, by the way, spring break in LA, go play the Trojans and Bruins could be worse for the Wolverines.
Could be worse. I don't think we're gonna be complaining about that scheduling heading out to California in March. For 4 or 5 days and some good weather. But no, I think that move is great though. I think it's great for the Big Ten. I actually think it's great for college tennis personally. Some people might disagree, but I think it adds a whole another layer to the Big Ten, and we're gonna have now, I don't know, 4 or 5 like very, very good teams in the Big Ten. So it's gonna be pretty cool.
Yeah, no, and again, we don't have to talk about the TV rights. You don't want to talk about how the UCLA athletic department might need themselves a little cash influx after running a deficit these past 2 years. Any thoughts on that, Pat Maloney?
I got absolutely no thought on that.
A soon-to-be media major at the University of Michigan. Any thoughts, my friend?
I plead the fifth on that one.
Yeah, okay, fair enough. But, again, with that in mind, you talk about hanging out with Steph, and I promise I'm not going to pester you too much longer. You got the chance to get the invite to play at the USTA Wildcard Challenge in Orlando, which we can talk about now because it's happened. The wildcards have been given out. The results have been, have taken place, and you come in third in that event, which I want to talk about in a second. But just to get the invite to play in that event, I'm curious, how much work with the USTA did you do when you were younger? And, not to say you penetrated the USTA circle, but you get the call up to an event like that, you're in now. You're part of the crew. What did that mean to you to get that invite?
Yeah, it was pretty exciting. I mean, in the past, I've done absolutely zero with the USTA up until the playoff. Not one thing besides playing winter nationals at Lake Nona in the 18s. I had and playing UCF.
Yeah.
I've had no experience with the USTA, but no, it felt good. I think luckily I had I think Ben not doing it and letting me slide in as an alternate was pretty nice. But no, it felt good. It was good to, I played some guys that I've never played before. Don't really get to see too much in college tennis. Got some Pac-12 guys, some SEC guys. So it was a fun week. And it was good. It felt good to get in front of the USTA a little bit and I guess for a week or so. So it was definitely a good week. And I ended up, playing some good tennis too. So
you've got big USTA glue guy potential. Like, they're definitely, for sure, you're just like, trust me, I'm going to be fun to be around at that.
Yeah.
And they're just going to be like, yeah, invite Maloney. Like, he'll hit, he'll slap some forehands, we'll all be happy. But no, again, some of the other guys who competed, for our listeners who don't know, Sam Riffis, the former NCAA singles champion, semifinalist this year. You had Murphy Cassone, hottest thing since sliced bread. You had, the Alex Kotzins, Brian Cernox of the world, Tyler Stice is all competing. I could name everyone. But the point being, and again, you're into your first quarterfinal in singles at the pro level this week. Got to play a Nate Pon with. You've got a Sekou Bangura coming next. From a tennis perspective, what have you learned about your game compared to those caliber of players, and what do you think you need to continue to improve on as you finish your collegiate career and get set to go off into the pros?
I mean, I wouldn't say I've learned it, but I've been reminded, I guess, that I can play with anybody, of course. And I've always believed that. Haven't always had the chance to play against some of the top guys and stuff, but to play against and to play some good tennis and to do pretty well against, some of the guys that you hear a lot about in the college tennis world and in like the early into pro tennis world, like guys just out of college and stuff like that. But no, I learned a lot. I mean, I think it's showed me how much I've improved in the past year or two. I think it showed me some things that I need to continue to work on in order to keep, making these jumps that I want to. But overall, it's just been super motivating. It's been a lot of fun. I've had a great summer, traveling a ton and really just playing a ton of tennis. I've enjoyed it, but I think the biggest thing is just, it's been really motivating and just, I'm kind of eager to just keep going.
Ace T on the ad side or inside in forehand, which brings you more pleasure? Because I feel like those are the two. I've watched a lot of Pat Maloney tennis in my time. When you set up the inside in forehand, they got Maloney'd.
I would say inside in is the one. I've actually become a pop wide on the ad side kind of guy in the past year or so.
All right, I'm gonna quack that out so no one hears it.
Yeah, that was a big one. Me and Beatty went to it on some big deuce points. I would just go for it, and it ended up paying off a few times.
Mm-hmm. No, because the reason I bring that up is anyone who's watched you play, the weapons are there, right? And I'm sure you feel that. You see the success your forehand has. Go look at the Braswell match. I know Micah wasn't his healthiest, but your forehand was probably the biggest weapon on the court on that day. And again, resisting and I know we're getting nerded out here, but resisting the urge to pull trigger on that forehand too soon. I feel like that's the balance, right? That's the thing, maybe the crux of the game.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing for me is being able to compete, the way I do when I'm playing well. Mm-hmm. When I'm playing on a C plus, B minus tennis, and not giving away too much for free and being a little more of a rock when I need to be from the baseline. I think that, along with still looking to, to press and to come forward and take time away, just always kind of just working on that balance is the biggest thing for me, I think, and continue to work on my serve.
You get to replay one match from this summer, Kipson or JJ Tracy?
Oh, Kipson, 100%.
Yeah. My little brother wanted me to ask you what happened in that second set breaker.
I had 5 set points in that second set. I had 2 on it, a 2 on a serve at 5-6.
Yeah.
2 second serves too. So, I mean, you're bringing up a tough memory right now, but
the inside-in forehand.
That was definitely a tougher loss.
You had one forehand second serve sitter in that breaker. I think it was on the match point, and you slapped it like long and wide. And there was an F-bomb that came out. I was like, mother. Yeah. I was like, come on.
Because I had 1540 on his serve at 6-5, and I tried stepping in on the second serve, and I missed it. And then I was like, all right, I'm not going to make that mistake. I took 3 steps back. I was like, I'm just going to go heavy middle. And I didn't connect the way I wanted to. It ended up leaving it short. Yeah. And then I was like, oh, why did I just step in and hit it again? So it was like a lose-lose for me. But no, then that breaker, I had a couple set points. I think I threw up a lob that landed like it was a drop shot, basically. And on like a big point too. I like set up, in my head, I'm like, yeah, I'm going to go like forehand topspin lob over the backhand side. And then it just snuck over the net, like barely. And he was like spiking overhead. And I was like, yeah, that did not, that seemed way better as I was like thinking about that shot. But I mean, yeah, I had a ton of chances that match, and I got that wild card, and I could have made my first main draw of a challenger. That was definitely the one for sure.
Yeah, no, I mean, it was a fun match, though, and again, it shows how far your level has come over the course of the past year, and, certainly you'll hopefully get more opportunities like that. All right, some rapid-fire stuff before I let you go.
Let's go.
Have to ask it, and I don't know how rapid the answer is going to be, the Voedsel celebration. You win the second set. What's going through your head?
Oh, my God. Like nothing, basically. I'm just screaming till I was blue in the face and going nuts. Yeah, I broke him at 6-5, and it was a long point too, I think. And I remember, I think like Matthias and the Florida guys were in the corner, and they were kind of hyping me up. And then, I had like Cooksey and Patorn and those guys on the side too going nuts. And Steiny wasn't the biggest fan of, some of my celebrations. And he was on court. So I kind of did that. I went nuts, and I was like, oh, shoot. Like, I'm going to get a little earful. But he just gave me a high five and let it slide for the moment. But that was a crazy 30 seconds or so.
No, a surreal moment for sure. And are they still swollen, or have they recovered?
No, they're recovered.
Okay, good. That's good to hear. It was something else. I mean, yeah, I remember Ben, because I was sitting next to Ben when it happened. Ben was like, "Did he just?" And I was like, "I think so." And it was something else. But so the Michigan team knows, when you start the season with a 6 a.m. run, it's because of that celebration. Just to be perfectly clear. And no, shout out to the Buckeyes, who really were too good on that day. All right, again, as we kind of rapid fire through here, as you look towards your senior season, what are some of the things you guys want to accomplish in your final year in Ann Arbor?
I mean, I think there's 2 things, or maybe there's 3 things. There's winning another Big Ten title, and there's winning a national championship. Those are the things that we think about and talk about almost every day. Came extremely close last year. We were knocking on that door. And in the past, the trend has been we come back stronger, and we come back with that fire under us. So we got a good freshman class coming in. We just lose Beatty, but Beatty's still going to be with us as our student assistant. So we're at the same squad plus 3 great additions. So yeah, that's the goal, is winning a national title, 100%.
Are you intimidated by Bjorn's success this summer?
Intimidated? Not at all. I pumped. And from what I've seen, the way he plays, he's going to fit in with us perfectly. So I had a chance. Spent about a week with him in Ann Arbor when he was playing that UTR thing along with the other 2 guys. I went down to train and kind of just watch them and be with them and help them get their feet wet in Ann Arbor and stuff. So it was it was a lot of fun being with them and stuff. And I can tell they're gonna fit in perfectly right away. It's gonna be great.
I don't know all the freshmen. We did get the chance to meet Bjorn. Such a nice kid. He's gonna fit in
Yeah.
well. I'm a big fan of his.
Yeah.
All right, I'm trying again. So many different places I want to go. You see the transfers. You follow everything. I mean, how good is the team going to have to be to win this year? It just feels like you look at some of these rosters and it's like, man, did everyone get better?
Yeah, we're gonna have to be great. I mean, but that's really motivating for us. It's like we wouldn't want it any other way. We wouldn't want it like a Mickey Mouse draw of the NCAA. We want to play the best teams and we want to play the strongest teams. So I mean, and I think as all these teams are getting better, with these 5th year transfers and stuff, and guys just using their 5th year, I think it's kind of motivating every team around the country, and every team knows like they're gonna have to bring it, like, because their competition is strong as hell.
Has it been good for college tennis these 5th years to offer that extra year of eligibility? I mean, again, you get to play one more season because you have that extra year of eligibility. As you look on that decision, have you felt the ramifications?
No, I think it's good for college tennis. One, because it just changes things up a little bit, and two, because it's such a short-lived thing.
Yeah.
Right after next year or 2 years, there's no more of that. So it was almost like just like a quick little era of college tennis where guys are going all over the place, and you got guys in college for 5-6 years if you do a redshirt year. So I think it was pretty cool. And it was cool that, it happened. Obviously not cool that the pandemic happened, but it was cool that, this, kind of different look at college tennis happened during my 4 years. And it was pretty interesting. So I would say it was good for college tennis overall.
Yeah, no, I mean, certainly you look at the numbers right now, it's like 34 players with college ties in the top 100 of the ATP doubles rankings, and right around 10 in the top 100 of the ATP singles rankings. And you're right, it just feel like this little 4-year run has been ridiculous. I mean, Virginia was our number 6 preseason team last year, but if you go listen to the show, we talk about how in any other season they would have been the prohibitive number 1 contender to win the title, and it's just like you couldn't have that because Florida had all these pieces, et cetera, et cetera. I mean, do you see? Are you following any of the college guys in the pros? Do you see what they're doing?
A little bit. You talking about like in like the higher level, like ATP stuff?
Yeah, just more, getting
yeah. I mean, you see like yeah, for sure. Especially like the guys like just out of college and stuff, like Kova and obviously Ben's having a great summer. And those guys, if I'm checking out a draw or something, I'll see, what college guys are in there and stuff, or like I'll see some, like, I don't know, I'll be on like a Twitter, I'll see like some college team, like giving like giving an update about like their players. So like, I would say I see a decent amount of how they're doing. And I think it's great. I mean, I think the more the merrier, like the more success that these college guys have, the more these kids will want to play college tennis, the more these international guys will want to come and play college tennis. So I think it's great. And I think it's a good reflection of how amazing college tennis is.
Mm-hmm. No, I agree with you. I know I don't have to say this to Coach Steinberg because obviously he wants it, you want it. We need the Ann Arbor Challenger back. Like need it back as soon as possible. Because it was delightful for all of us. All right, you go to practice every day. Does anyone because this is what I would do, and this is why they only allow me at practice every so often. Do you ever go to Ben Becker and you're just like, so talk to me about that Agassi match at the U.S. Open? And is it like worthwhile to be like, it's Benjamin freaking Becker right there?
Not about the Agassi match. At first, maybe they'll ask him about it. But I've watched the amount of time I've watched Benny on YouTube playing playing these matches, and I'll, sometimes maybe he'll bring something up, or I'll be like, Benny, like I was watching like you versus like Hewitt yesterday, and like like I saw like the shot you like I saw like this point, and he'll get a kick out of it. But I mean, it's unbelievable to have him, leading us and sharing, his experiences with us, and like just the way he sees the game. It's unbelievable. But yeah, I mean, me and I think most of my teammates can can agree with me that we have watched our fair share of Benny hitting like 140 mile an hour serves on YouTube.
I'm so jealous. Yeah, I'm just like, again, because I like definitively remember the Agassi match. That was like one of my first viewing experiences. Now it's like thank God he just loves Ann Arbor because we're blessed. Yeah, it's just like, oh my God, like this guy could go do whatever he wants. He loves it. And so, again, all of these things in mind, you get to play one main draw in 2022. Rome Challenger main draw, NCAA singles main draw, or NCAA doubles main draw with Beatty. Which do you pick?
That's tough. I think NCAA doubles with Beatty.
Yeah, right? I mean, you guys beat the champs.
We beat the champs. I think we were like 4-0 against ranked guys. Like we were playing well. And I think if we went into individuals, we would have treated it like it was a dual match with the way we'd be going nuts and we'd be doing all that stuff. And I think we could have made a run. And it would have been Beatty's last college tennis event. He's, one of my best friends. So I would say NCAA doubles with Beatty for sure.
Mm-hmm. Did you realize he went behind the back at Big Tens or not until after it happened?
I did, but I think we were down a break at the time, and I was so pissed that I didn't. That I was like, this. I'm not going nuts about it. We'll talk about it after the
match. Yeah, you guys were playing so well, and not to be disrespectful because Cleve and Rich were amazing. Cash and Monte were as good as any college tennis doubles team I've ever seen. But was it 6-1? In the dual match?
6-1, yeah.
That one, more so than the singles, right? Like because no disrespect, I don't think you were beating Ben last year, but like 2 out of 3 sets, no ad doubles, anything can happen, and it's really just like who's hot right now.
Yeah, I think, it's exactly what it is, and it was, I think a part of it's kind of who wants to be out there, in individuals, doubles after the team event, all that stuff. So I think me and Beatty would have ate that opportunity up, and I think it would have been a pretty fun week.
Yeah, I agree. All right, rapid fire on the teammates. Messiest locker.
Vic.
Yeah.
Beatty's a close second. I'm a close third.
Yeah.
So Vic is the solidified number 1.
Okay, best practice partner?
Patorn.
I see. I was gonna say Bick because I'd just be like grind.
No, Patorn.
Because he's never missed.
Patorn misses like a ball every practice. Maybe. And every ball is like at your like shoulder height, basically. And
Mm-hmm. Best inter squad rivalry.
Me and Beatty's a good one. We've had some very heated sets. I would say me and Beatty, or actually no, me and Beatty second. Number 1 is Fu and Johnny Yaffe easily.
Yeah, because they battle.
Oh yeah, and it was that was the most heated one for sure because Johnny took it. Johnny wanted to beat him so badly, and Fu would just squeak out the sets like it was like, and John, I'd turn over, I would look over, Johnny's serving at 5-4. All of a sudden, I see Fu serving at 6, like he's on a break, like he's like about to like clear the set, and so that's definitely the number 1 inter squad rivalry for sure.
That's what I like to hear. Well, again, as we get ready for the 2023 college tennis season, what's it going to take for Michigan to take another step forward and continue the success we saw last season?
I mean, the 2 biggest things we're going to talk about are the summers and winter break. Stanley always stresses that, but we've done a great job this summer of getting out and playing. Everyone's working hard, and then just to keep building on that in the fall. Everyone to help lead the young guys and to just keep establishing that championship culture that we've been trying to do for the past however many years. But I think everybody's just gonna just keep working hard, keep getting better, bust it over winter break, and come back ready to go. And I think we'll be in great shape.
nothing makes less sense than a dead period 6 weeks before the season starts. It's just like, it's just like, I'm sorry, what are we doing? No. Right before the season starts, don't talk to anyone. Yeah, it's just like, that makes sense. All right, last 3 big picture college tennis questions, because what people may not know about Pat Maloney, massive fan of college tennis, and you know, you're following what's happening in other conferences. Super regional round in the Sweet 16. Are you a fan, or would you like to see it all go back to one site?
I like the one site from Elite 8 on.
Okay.
I like the higher seed hosting the Sweet 16.
Why? Just out of curiosity.
I think it rewards the team who had a better season, and to give them that slight edge in a Sweet 16 match. But I do think Elite 8 on should be Orlando every year.
So that was going to be my second question. Are you fine if they just go to one site?
Yeah, Orlando should be it every year. That's my take.
Why Orlando, not Georgia or something like that?
Well, I think Georgia gives the home field advantage to Georgia.
Yeah.
And I think Orlando, you know, they do a good job with the streaming there. They got a great setup. You can do 2 matches at once. So yeah, I think it kind of turn it into like the Omaha, like for baseball. Yeah. That's kind of the comparison that I've heard.
No, I like it. For sure. And again, Boxy Park, overrated, underrated, or properly rated.
I think underrated.
I agree. It's a hot
spot. It's
underrated. Yeah, it's like spot. It's this little gem right next to the national campus.
Underrated. Live music, like come on.
Yeah, and like if you lose early in the tournament, you got a place to go, and so
Boxy Park is underrated.
No, I agree with all of your points above. I really like the super regionals. I think home crowd matches are better than non-home crowd matches. The crowd was really good for Orlando in 2021, but it also helped that Florida won the title. And like the one thing about Georgia, even if Georgia's not playing, they always show up. Athens loves themselves some college tennis, but you're right. Like Georgia's too good to be the host each and every year on the men's.
Exactly. Yeah. If it was like a team who wasn't really in the mix, that had that kind of atmosphere that Athens does, I think maybe that could make sense. But I mean, Orlando, it's also like the people. If the people from Gainesville are going to truck down to Orlando, like
shout out
by them.
Yeah. You know, I was going to name a school that would be perfect and like not in the mix, but great facility. And I was like, I'm not saying that out loud. And so, I'm going to cut my self-edit there. But no, I agree. Orlando's awesome. It's the mecca of American tennis. And like, it's really not an airport. It's like planes come overhead, but it's not that bad.
No, it's not that bad. And it's so easy to get to, opposed to like Champaign this year. It's like you're taking connecting flights. You're such a hassle. But I think, I would say Orlando, or even like USTA New York, where the US Open is.
That's no. I'm a straight no.
Why?
Because to get to New York for that many people and to stay there for that long might be a nightmare.
It's very easy to fly to.
Yeah, I mean that's true. Okay, so is Detroit. Let's do it. Let's do it in Southeast Michigan. West Bloomfield. We'll do it at Franklin. We'll do it at Sports Club. But no, I mean, so my last question in that spirit though, because an event I do think might be moved to New York, certainly sounds like it's going to be moved to the fall pretty soon, is the NCAA individuals. As an athlete who, you know, again. You know what that environment is like. You know that transition of being there and seeing all the players come in for the ending of the NCAA tournament who are playing the individuals. Are you fine if they move it to the fall, or would you like to see them keep it in the spring?
I don't know. I haven't really thought about it. I think it'd be better in the spring after. But then again, like a lot of guys get burnt out. You'll see a lot of guys pull out too after the team tournament with some injuries and stuff. But again, I think I'm always a big fan of like just change and just see how it is. And if it stinks, go back to the spring. So I don't mind.
I think the idea is just like you play the All-American, you play the Fall Nats. The idea is if you want to play NCAA tournament, you have to play those events, and it like incentivizes making the college fall actually matter. My thing would be, I think, in that case, interesting.
Yeah, but then I think it takes away from the dual match season too. Like,
Sure.
well, some guy all of a sudden makes a huge jump and is playing one and has a great year, and then can't do anything about it after the season.
Yeah.
So I think it kind of goes both ways, but I think it'd be pretty cool to see it in the fall after All Americans and the fall championships.
My other case would be, and I don't know how you figure out who qualifies. My thing would be the spring season before you qualify for the NCAA tournament that fall. So, like, let's say the NCAA tournament for 2022 was this September at the U.S. Open. That's my dream scenario, is like you play NCAA tournament second week of the U.S. Open on those courts in New York. And, like, if college tennis can't make a jump from that, it's never going to happen for us.
Yeah. I mean, I think that'd be pretty cool. I don't like that they took away the collegiate invitational.
Did you go?
I did not go.
Okay, I was going to say you would have been one of 12 to go, so you could tell us from the grounds.
No, yeah, but that was that always seemed like a pretty cool thing, was to get some college guys playing at the Open during the Open. But yeah, I mean, I think it'd be pretty cool if they have the singles tournament in the fall.
Did you get the invite for the Cincy thing? How did Beatty and Gavin swoop those spots?
I did get the invite. I figured I'd be playing a futures somewhere.
Yeah.
And told Steiny most likely won't be able to. And then Beatty and Gav, two Minnesota boys representing the blue team.
I love it.
Yeah, I like it too. Seems like it's gonna be a pretty fun. What is it? 1 day or 2 days?
I think it's 1 day. I think it's a Sunday shootout.
Yeah, so it seems like it'll be a pretty fun day. There's a bunch of good teams going, so
yeah,
it should be pretty cool.
Here's what I ask: is Sunday after the championship in Columbus at the 25K, come over to Cincy, come hang out, come enjoy the ending, and we'll enjoy it all. But obviously, congratulations to you on that first singles quarterfinal. Was nerve-wracking to follow the match today, particularly. I think it was like 3-all in the third. You had a 30-all game, and I was like. He loses this, I'm gonna have to text him and be like, but do you still want to do the pod today? And I really don't know if I want to send that text, because I just don't want to be that guy. And then he won, and I was like, oh, thank God. I'll send him the congrats text and the mix of what time we recorded. And so obviously congratulations to you and what you guys have done at the University of Michigan. As a former Wolverine, may I say, it's why I got into college tennis, watching the Wolverines compete, and it's very fun to see my school have that sort of success. And, you're not the biggest part of it, but you've been around for it as well. So shout out to you. Shout out to you, Steiny, and all of the guys. And obviously grateful you tolerate all my nonsense throughout the year. So, Pat, I forgot to ask. You share the name of a congressman, a notable congressman, head of the DCCC. Yeah, I know. Yeah. By the way, Patrick Francis Maloney, it wasn't what I was expecting your middle name to be, because you don't act like a Patrick Francis Maloney, but knowing you like I do, it's like, okay, yeah, that does fit the name.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah, for what it's worth,
very Irish name.
Yeah, exactly. It checks out. I mean, does anyone make the congressman joke to you, or just me?
I've had a decent amount of people ask if there's a relation, is it your dad? And I'm like, no. But I pretty funny actually. I was on Twitter before, and I don't know how I came across it. Maybe I was mentioned in a tweet or something, and I clicked it, and I saw all the tweets that contained Patrick Maloney.
Yeah.
And I saw that Patrick Maloney is in some huge scandal right now.
Yeah.
as of this morning, he's in some really big political scandal. So
yeah, so he's the head of the DCCC, which is the legislative arm of the Democratic Congressional Committee. And I think he had an ethics complaint against him today, which is not the greatest thing in the world. But it wasn't you, is what I would like to point out. That's a different Patrick Maloney.
Let's make that clear.
I would also like to point out we had a Pat Toomey on our club tennis team. That's the senator in Pennsylvania. We're killing it. Yeah, shout out to it. Yeah, we had legislation passed that helped us win the club tennis national championship. Don't tell anyone. But yeah, with that said, obviously, Pat, congratulations. Spot is always open for you, and hopefully we'll get to do this again soon.
Thanks. Go blue.
Yeah, go blue.